So I explained in my first video for this channel um, that my focus on the channel would be to explain over time this um, what I feel is a sophisticated and kind of complex method of getting into a deep meditation and experiencing subtle energy. And this is a method I developed myself over like 20 years. And I just want to explain, there are a lot of things I want to explain because the background's really important, okay, to understand how I developed this method. So I want to go back to how the whole thing started. This will not be long, but there are several steps to the story. I just want to tell like the first step to the story. So back when I was so my whole awareness of subtle energy began like 32 years ago. I hate to say this, 33 years ago. So I was in graduate school, and I had hypoglycemia. So if you don't know what that is, you basically have low blood sugar. So you tend to overproduce insulin, right? So if you eat sugary foods, you know how that sugary foods spike your blood sugar. You produce a lot of insulin to reduce that blood sugar, get it out of your bloodstream. But when you're hypoglycemic, you overproduce insulin. So you in response to like a big spike in sugar, you produce too much insulin and it drops it way down, like below baseline, and you don't feel well. So you start to eat more, right? So the bottom line is I was hypoglycemic. I had a horrible diet, and I had gained a lot of weight. So I was pretty heavy, and I've been frustrated with this weight for a couple of years, and I was frustrated that I couldn't control my appetite, and just horrible diet, junk food and fast food, and all sugary foods, and no vegetables, no fruits. It was bad. So swear to God, one weekend I just thought, I am so fed up with this. I had an opportunity. It was the summer between my first and second year of grad school. One weekend, I just intuitively came up with a diet, right, that I was going to follow. I was changing my eating habits for good. Okay. And in the course of 3 months, I stuck to it. Okay. In the course of 3 months, I lost 45 pounds, 3 months. So that's like 15 pounds a month, which would be what? 5 pounds a week, three to 4 pounds a week. So it was an amazing transformation. Okay. But in losing all this weight, I went from being like a fat guy to a skinny guy. People thought I was skinny after that, which was weird because I'd always felt like I was a fat guy, right? So I go through this physical transformation. But what ended up happening was, along with that physical transformation, I started to go through a spiritual transformation. And I went through this amazing awakening. And part of that was I began to feel, physically sense, become aware of subtle energy in my body. And this thing was so multifaceted that the change was so profound. I couldn't even put it into words. Okay. But essentially, I didn't know this at the time, but I entered what essentially was a mystical state. And it lasted probably for 10 to 15 years. I would say 15 years. And then it started to go away. And I can explain why later. But my point is that when I lost all this weight, I started to sense all this subtle energy. I also started to feel a connection to God, and I think the two are related. Okay. I felt like I suddenly had a living connection to God. And I felt experienced what I would call an inner voice emerge within me, which felt kind of like the presence of God. And so that was the beginning of this long journey that eventually led me to develop my own method of meditation and trying to sense, control subtle energy. Okay. And but I wanted to share that because it was probably one of the most profound experiences that I had in my life, going through this transformation. And at the time, I didn't even know I never heard the word mysticism I didn't hear the word mysticism. I was in this state, right, for like 2 to 3 years before I heard the word mysticism, you know? So I had this awakening and this deep experience that I couldn't explain. I couldn't put it into words. I couldn't explain it to other people. And it was profound, you know? And I didn't even know words to give it. So I mentioned, for example, that this inner voice emerged. I'll tell the story later, but I later found like a guru. This was a woman from India who knew a lot about all these different energy modalities. And, but she became sort of a guru for me for a period of time. And so like when I was like 12 years into this, 14 years into this, I told her about this inner voice. And I said, I almost felt like there was like another me watching me doing the things that I was doing. Right. And she said, oh, there are two names for that. We call it the silent witness. That was the inner voice, or the second attention. So my point is that this was so profound. I started developing my own terminology because I didn't know this was like a thing. Right. And I would later find that there were like established terms. They're like, I wasn't crazy, right? There were established terms for these experiences. And I was just discovering this on my own. It was incredible. So, but I want to explain, like, that was the beginning. So by purifying my diet, okay, losing all this weight quickly, it transformed me physically, but also spiritually. And I started to be able to physically sense all the subtle energy with it. And that's what eventually, right, that awareness of the subtle energy within me is what eventually allowed me to later develop my method of meditation, right? Because it's basically my method of meditation, of getting deep in meditation, is about accessing the subtle energy, being aware of it, and controlling to get deep into meditation. So I don't want to make these videos too complicated. So I'm trying to do short videos that focus on one thing at a time so people can digest it. So I'll just leave it at that, but I'll be explaining a lot more of this in other videos. So thank you.